What's up, everybody? Yeah, welcome to the Mike Dolce Knows channel. Today, we're going to be talking about losing that muffin top once and for all. Can we please just burn that nasty body fat around our midsection? Now, I don't know why, and I've discussed it before. Some people call these love handles. Well, that is a joke. Oops, because we certainly don't love those. Wait a minute. I know why they call those love handles, because of the grip. Baby, that's actually a true story. Check your Urban Dictionary. But today, we're going to break down how to effectively lose that muffin top. Before we get there, check the links below, merrickhealth.com/Dolce for the comprehensive, low-cost blood work I suggest to all my private clients and certified Piedmontese. Go to Piedmontese.com, promo code Dolce, save 25% on the only grass-fed, grass-finished beef I trust to feed my family. Now, let's jump right into a little bit of science very briefly. I want to just give a background on abdominal obesity as we move into the further muffin top conversation. We can all see that. Let me reduce me down just a little bit so you can read a little bit better here. Now, in this, I've gone through, the team and I, we constantly go through all the relevant research, whether we're working on a specific project or we're just keeping tabs on what's happening, what's new. So we usually spend about 3 hours a day pouring through the research material, seeing what's out there, what's real, what's not, what's promising, and what is just bunk. Well, here is something that we have in our abdominal obesity file, if you will, where it discusses the therapeutic treatment for abdominal obesity in adults. And this is a great way for me to explain to you what exactly is abdominal obesity and what are the relevant risks. Before I break down specifically, which I will here very briefly, break down exactly how to mobilize that stored fat in the abdominal area and get rid of it so we can finally unveil your abs, as I've done. You saw the, boom, there you go. You've seen the thumbnail, so you know I can do this. I've done this multiple times, many times, and I'm in the middle of doing it again, getting in my best, most muffin top less shape ever. Like zero muffin top right now. That is exactly what's happening, and I'm going to share this all with you. Now, back to the research material. Background: abdominal obesity and accumulation of fat in the abdominal region is a risk factor for several non-communicable diseases. Now, this specific review aims to identify non-surgical treatment options for abdominal obesity in adults. Interventions with behavioral, dietary, physical activity, or pharmaceutical components were compared to control conditions. Now, as we go down here, I want to briefly discuss the World Health Organization defines obesity as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that may impair health. Furthermore, obesity is the visible sign of a metabolic disturbance caused by excessive intake of highly processed foods, loaded with sugar of any kind and fat in an unhealthy ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. Thus, especially abdominal obesity is strongly linked to most of the non-communicable diseases identified by the World Health Organization to be the main types in particular of the following four. So what is this basically breaking down and saying here? Abdominal obesity is directly linked to four of the most chronic non-communicable diseases. What does that mean? That's diseases that you don't spread. Diseases that you do not communicate to other people. You do not get these from other people. These are specifically inborn diseases that are a direct result of, or I should say, strongly linked to obesity, but more specifically, abdominal obesity. Okay, now what are these four main types of non-communicable diseases strongly linked to abdominal obesity: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory diseases. The highest relative mortality risk was detected for the combination of low body mass index individuals with high waist circumference, or waist to hip ratio. Now, what does this mean? You actually can determine a level of fitness, and we use this here at the Dolce Diet. I'm technically considered a high BMI individual. On a BMI chart, I am at first glance considered to be an obese individual. But when you take into consideration my waist to hip ratio, you realize I am no longer an obese person. I am likely an athlete in the athlete demographic, right? Once you look at my age to height to weight to BMI to waist to hip ratio to finally lean body mass ratio, you realize I'm in the top percentile of body mass individuals with regards to positive fitness outcomes. That's a lot of word soup right there to say. BMI is just one indicator of a multiple checklist that determines your level of health. Of course, blood work should be combined in this. Now, I wanted to give you some basic background as to what obesity is and abdominal obesity is and what the negative effects are before we get into the influence. You like how I did that? The influence of physical activity on abdominal fat. This is actually another great study, and I will jump down through to the results. Now, 19 randomized controlled trials and 8 non-randomized controlled trials were selected. In the randomized controlled trials, using imaging techniques to measure changes in abdominal fat in overweight or obese subjects, 7 out of the 10 studies reported significant reductions compared with controls. So what does this mean? The influence of physical activity only. 7 out of 10 studies showed definitively that physical activity has a direct relationship to reducing abdominal fat. This is excellent news. One of, just many, many studies. Here's another study. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do at home. I just wanted to give you a bit more of the science. Reduction in obesity and related comorbid conditions after diet-induced weight loss or exercise-induced weight loss in men. So what is this? This is actually a study to determine the effects of equivalent diet or exercise-induced weight loss and exercise without weight loss on subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, skeletal muscle mass, and insulin sensitivity. We're going to focus primarily on the subcutaneous and visceral fat loss and the waist circumference, the reduction of the total waist circumference for this conversation here on our YouTube channel, because that's really the goal here. Now, as we go through, we're jumping straight to the results. Body weight decreased by 7.5 kilograms. Well, 1 kilogram is 2.2046 pounds. So 7.5 kilograms is 15 pounds. It's about 16 to 18 pounds in total, which equated to approximately 8% of total body weight. 8% of my body weight is 16 pounds. I'm 200 pounds right now. If I were to lose 8% of my body weight, I would lose 16 pounds. I would be 184 pounds. That's what I weighed when I did UFC Fit. A little too skinny for me, by the way. Body weight decreased, and I had no muffin top in UFC Fit, in both weight loss groups and did not change in the exercise without weight loss groups. Compared with controls, cardiovascular fitness in the exercise groups improved by approximately 16%, which is substantial. Although total fat decreased in both weight loss groups, the average reduction was 1.3 kilograms greater in the exercise-induced weight loss group than in the diet-induced weight loss group. Similar reductions in abdominal, subcutaneous, visceral, and visceral fat to subcutaneous fat ratios were observed in both weight loss groups. Let me explain this for you. What does this mean? This means when they compared exercise-induced weight loss, so that's exercise without specific diet, or specific diet without specific exercise. So one group exercised only and ate normally. The other group did not exercise, but followed a specific diet to accomplish very similar total caloric reductions. So both groups were trying to create a calorie deficit. Group one used a calorie deficit through energy exertion. Group two found a calorie deficit through calorie reduction. All right, group one, group two. Both groups saw a significant total weight loss. The exercise only group, let me get back to that. The exercise only group saw an increase in cardiovascular fitness that the diet only group did not see. Well, that makes perfect sense. The diet group wasn't lifting weights. They weren't jogging. They weren't doing cardio. They might have been rather sedentary people just eating less. They would not get the additional benefit of cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory activation, which the exercise group did. Now, although total fat decreased in both weight loss groups, the average reduction was 1.3 kilograms greater in the exercise-induced weight loss group than in the diet-induced weight loss group. So this shows that those who were creating a calorie deficit through exercise saw a greater reduction in total body fat. Well, this is exactly what we've been saying here. We seek to create caloric reduction through additional energy expenditure, which has a muscle sparing component to that, knowing muscle is biologically active, therefore increases our metabolic rate and will further reduce total body fat percentage and increase total body fat loss. Now, moving on, there were similar reductions in abdominal, subcutaneous, visceral, and visceral fat to subcutaneous fat ratios observed in both weight loss groups. Abdominal and visceral fat also decreased in the exercise without weight loss groups. So one group exercised, but they would exercise and they would increase calories to match the expenditure. So they never quite made a calorie deficit, but they saw that the abdominal fat went down even while they were still eating at maintenance. Well, this kind of blows away some of the SICO equation, right? Those who talk about calories in, calories out, that's the only way to lose weight. You must be in a deficit to lose weight. Lose weight, possibly. Lose fat, no. No. Why? Let me restate that again. Similar reductions in abdominal, subcutaneous, visceral, and visceral fat to subcutaneous fat ratios were observed in weight loss groups. Abdominal and visceral fat also decreased in the exercise without weight loss group. What does this mean? Once again, this means that if you are eating maintenance and you're exercising, you're spending an extra 600 calories per day on your weightlifting program, and you increase 600 additional calories to match the new expenditure, it is very likely that you will burn body fat, specifically abdominal fat. Abdominal obesity, we'll actually call it for the sake of this study, subcutaneous and visceral fat. Whoa. So Dolce, let me distill this down, or Dolce, distill this down for us, please. And I will do just that right now. We can look at a threefold effect of fat loss, specifically with regard to abdominal obesity. Now, we know in general, the body does not spot reduce body fat. Although we can show in vitro, which is not quite in the human, in vivo is in human, in vitro is in the lab, right? We can make a case in vitro that spot reduction is possible. And I would go on to say that I believe in vivo spot reduction is possible, but only in that the stubborn areas of body fat, like the muffin top, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I was able to melt my own muffin top with targeted specific intention. The ability to do that was really enhancing the flaws of that stubborn mechanism to match that of the more efficient fat burning mechanisms in other areas of the body. All right, let me back up once again. So based upon the studies, we know if we're eating at baseline, and let's say your baseline calories are 2,000 per day, you do 500 extra calories worth of exercise. You burn an extra 500 calories per day of exercise, doing whatever you're doing. Well, now you're in a calorie deficit. You will lose weight. You will lose body fat. Yep. And you might even build a little muscle tissue or spare muscle loss because of the type of resistance exercise you're doing. Now we switch over. You're not exercising at all. You're completely sedentary, but you go onto a fasting protocol. You cut carbs, you go keto, whatever you do, but you drop your total caloric intake by 500. Now you're at 1,500 calories per day. You will lose fat. You will lose weight. Early on, you will likely lose more body fat than muscle tissue. The longer you go, and there's other studies that we have, I don't have enough time in this one. Maybe I'll do it in a different video. The longer you go on that timeline of calorie deficit, though, you will likely start to break down more muscle tissue relative to body fat, where you will hit a line that your body says, enough of this. We need to preserve these fat stores because this idiot is in a starvation phase. And you might even start to accumulate more body fat over time. This is from the energy reduction or the calorie deficiency group. So Group A is increasing energy output, keeping calories static. Group B is dropping calories, not adding any additional energy. Now, Group C is increasing energy output and also increasing food to match this. This is what we would call a lean bulk in the bodybuilding, strength, and fitness world. We talk about a lean bulk of eating 300 to 500 additional calories per day, phasically, maybe increasing every 10 to 30 days, 300 to 500 as you go through your lean bulk season, really pushing progressive overload and the other parameters that we discuss. So now we know 3 basic ways, and that Group C will slowly lose subcutaneous and visceral body fat also. Abdominal adiposity. You will lose that over time as long as you're not being a dickhead and just massively overeating McDonald's like I once did once upon a time when I was in my young late teens and early 20s just trying to bulk. And I shout out Dave Tate, J.M. Blakely, and Louis Simmons for that information. I'll talk about that in another video. I've talked about it before. But now you at home. How do you burn body fat? How do you become that hot dad, that smoking hot mom? Here's what you do. You take advantage of all of this. Number one is we increase activity. We increase activity in 2 ways. Way number 1 is low intensity, steady state cardiovascular activity. List 30 to 45 minutes first thing in the morning while fasted. And I will die on this hill of fasted cardio first thing in the morning is very important to your overall fat loss protocol because your second training session of the day will be fed training. Get the benefit of fasted training at low intensity and also get the benefit of fed training later on in the day. Your fasted training should be of a lower intensity. Your fed training should be in a higher intensity, in a glycolytic capacity, where now you're stimulating the growth of new, healthy, functional muscle tissue. As we said before, is biologically active and requires stored calories to survive. So we're mobilizing fat loss through the fasted list first thing in the morning, 30 to 45 minutes in the absence of insulin, which has a preferential benefit to the stubborn body fat like I had. Muffin top is my worst area, by the way. I get that wide waist. We need to do everything we can to cultivate the most beneficial environment for fat loss, the absence of insulin. Insulin impedes fat loss, specifically in the more stubborn areas, which are prone to less blood flow, which is the muffin top on most guys and some women. That lower belly button fat, the saddlebags for a lot of the ladies, unfortunately, the bottom of the triceps. Feel those parts of your body when you first wake up in the morning, when your core temperature's at the lowest, and see which part of your body is the coldest. That is the area that likely, and I would guarantee it, suffers from high adiposity. You disproportionately store body fat in that area that is coldest due to the exact same mechanism I'm speaking of right now. And that's like that's a whole semester we could go on to all the elements behind this. But for what you need to know, low intensity lifts first thing in the morning, 30 to 45 minutes. High intensity resistance training later on in the day after, meal 2, 3, 4, where you can really push yourself in a glycolytic capacity to stimulate new muscle growth. Number 2 is we do want to create a calorie deficit through exertion. That will get you to a certain point. And then you will get to a certain point where you will then have to start tapering your calories down ever so slightly when you are maxed out on energy output. I'm not yet maxed out on energy output, by the way, and I've been dieting since January 1st, effectively. I've been dieting seriously since April 1st. I am still not quite. I'm almost at the phase, probably July 1st. I'll be at the phase where I need to finally start taking my 32 to 3,400 calories per day, and I will need to start regularly dipping them down into the 22s or 28s or so. I'm going to be looking for a 300 to 500 calorie deficit every second to every third day through the month of July in order to keep stimulating my body to squeeze out this stored body fat that I have. My muffin top is completely gone. I don't have a muffin top, but I am aspiring for mid-single digit body fat percentage. It's very likely that you will never have to dramatically reduce your calories if you are able to actively increase your expenditure to burn off that muffin top. Now, I will tell you, based upon how big that muffin top is, it's going to take time. The results will be rapid in that every week you look in the mirror, you should take your before photos Monday, after photos Friday, every week. Monday and Friday. Monday is your before picture, Friday's your after. How did I do this week? And the Monday before picture keeps you honest so you don't act like a dickhead Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because you got to take that photo and step on the scale Monday morning. All my clients, this is what we do. Monday, Friday photos. Some give me every day. I love everyday photos. Monday, Friday is the minimum. You must give me a Monday photo and a Friday photo. That way we can chart changes. You will see results immediately. You will see results daily. You will look better. You will feel better. You will perform better. You will think better. You will digest better. Your bowel movements will be better every single day moving forward. Every single day. Now, you might not be bodybuilding stage ready on day 3 or day 33, but day 3 will look better than day 1, and day 33 will look a hell of a lot better than day 3. And you will wake up one day. Mark my words, my friend. You will wake up one day and that muffin top will be gone. And here's the fun part. Once that muffin top is gone, it never has to come back. And the longer you keep that muffin top off, the more your skin will keep shrink wrapping. Your skin will keep shrink wrapping and shrink wrapping and shrink wrapping and getting tighter and tighter and tighter and closer to your body because there's no more subcutaneous body fat pushing it, keeping it out of the way. And the tighter that skin wraps, the better you look naked, which is true. That's the byproduct. So all of the abdominal core exercises, I'm a master core trainer, by the way, but all those core exercises will not remove your muffin top. They are a part of your caloric expenditure program, but whether you're doing, rotation, anti-rotation work or cross-body chops or Romania or Russian twist or whatever the heck you might be doing, you'll feel that burn in your abs. But if you do that every day and you're not following the protocols that we're talking about, you'll never see those abs. They'll be stronger, and that's what we want. High five. We should train our core every day, by the way. But your muffin top will be there. You must employ this very specific targeted fat loss information in order to get rid of that muffin top. So what I try and do here, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who might be new to the channel, thank you guys for being here. Consider subscribing, giving this video a thumbs up. By the way, I would greatly appreciate that. But you will appreciate all of this honest content. This is how it works. I will throw in some science to you so you can see that there's the basis in the science, but I'm not going to muddy your mind with the science. I want to give you the immediate takeaways that you right now know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what you need to do. You need to increase expenditure. You need to fix your total caloric intake right now and build a baseline. Build that baseline and live that baseline. Once you have that baseline built, we can then slowly start increasing our expenditure more and more. Every 3 to 10 days or so, look for just a little bump. You're doing 30 minutes on the treadmill every morning. Well, in 3 to 10 days, go to 35 minutes. 3 to 10 days later, go to 40 minutes. 3 to 10 days after that. Why is it 3 days? Because some days you dramatically undershoot it, but it's usually the longer you do it, the more you're at, like, at first it's like 3 to 5 days. Then maybe it's 5 to 7 days. It's like 7 to 10 days. It's like, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty much maxed out here. Once you are maxed out with your energy expenditure, and this takes weeks to months, many of you who are 40 plus pounds overweight, you'll probably go 6 months without having to worry about dipping into caloric reduction. Now, that doesn't mean you eat like a dickhead in total caloric surplus. It means you eat at maintenance. You eat at maintenance as we're building the metabolic threshold for you to then start training at higher levels of intensity, which eventually you will max out your capacity to do so. And then we can consider small little calorie deficit dips, which I'll do another video on because we're already long here. I will do a calorie cycle instead of a calorie drop. And even before I do a calorie cycle, I'm going to run a carb cycle first. I'm going to run a carb cycle and see how much more weight we can squeeze off if we start peeling down a little bit of that stored energy as carbs, and we urge the body to start releasing a little more of that stored body fat. We could probably, if you're working with me one-on-one, we could probably do this for a few more months and get you fucking peeled without ever reeling to get into that full calorie reduction phase. Now, this is something we do with our 3 Weeks to Shredded program. Many of you have followed the 3 Weeks to Shredded program. That is a #1 best-selling book in 5 countries, which blew us away. Actually, we actually beat The Help when we came out with 3 Weeks to Shredded. Oprah's book club, The Help. We beat The Help. We were the #1 seller through Barnes & Noble, which shows you just the benefit of how awesome this book was and how many people clamored for it. This is now an online program at thedolcediet.com. You can follow it literally like a GPS. Everything is built for you. You answer some questions in the beginning once you get logged in, and the whole program is built for you. You follow along. Those of you who need that type of personal direction, that's there for you. You can click the link below. Also, I do work on one-on-one with private clients. As little as you can ask me a couple questions, or I can work with you on a monthly basis in a limited or very intensive program. And I have clients that do it all. Or you can just hang out with me for free here, and I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can and bring you great content like this. Whatever you need, I do my best to serve you. That is my job. I am a fitness missionary. I am here to serve you and bring you the most honest, actionable, and evidence-based information to dramatically improve your lives like it has my stable of elite international world-class clients, including some of the most famous mixed martial artists, weight class oriented competitors on the planet. And we have a 100% success ratio. So please consider what I'm saying as being possibly accurate, right? I might know what I'm talking about when it comes to weight reduction, weight maintenance, maximum of muscle mass, enhancement of athletic performance, but also I'm a longevity advocate before anything else. I just don't look like your typical one. But anyway, guys and gals, thank you all for being here. This has been awesome. And let me see how I can get out of here. And, oh, there we go. Is this the one? This the one? No, this one. And until next time, well, let's cue up the music. Oh, I don't hear the music play. Oh, wait a minute. Can you hear? Hopefully you can hear it. I don't know. I just threw it in there. Until next time. Whoa!